Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is Kidlit Joy and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to review a kids non-fiction book. There's a Prawn in Parliament House, The Kid's Guide to Australia's Amazing Democracy by Annabel Crabb with helpful illustrations by First Dog on the Moon. It is a book all about Australian politics, based particularly in the place where all the laws are made, in Canberra at Parliament House. And as someone who has lived in Australia my whole life, I've been voting in elections for more of my life than I have not now. This book was really informative, even though I consider myself fairly well informed. So this book is really cool because it does go through sort of the specifics of Parliament House, the architecture, the way it's laid out, etc. But then it also goes into the way that political parties are made up, as well as our voting system. It's really cool. I'm going to read you the blurb on the back. The first part in red says, "Hi, I'm Shawn the Prawn. I'm a 350 million old tiny coral fossil that lives on the floor in the grand Marble Foyer at Australia's Parliament House. Sharing a house with a democracy is awesome because Australia's democracy is unique and it totally rocks." And then the rest of the blurb says, "Every 3 years Australians come together on a Saturday to elect a government. We do this because having a government is the best way for large groups of people to live in peace and enjoy things like roads and airports and hospitals and delicious food without having to personally arrange all of the boring stuff. But how do we elect a government? How does the government make decisions? And what is so special about our system of democracy?" So Annabel Crabb is a political writer and commentator, which gives her a lot of authority to write on this. And she writes in a very open and engaging storytelling style. There's a lot of humor, a lot of dryness to it, which I think will appeal to sort of middle fiction readers and older as they are sort of learning about politics and democracy in our government, which is something that occurs in year 5 and 6 in our curriculum anyway. There is a lot of information in here, but it's organized really well. There's a lot of really great illustrations and maps and really fun little side bits of information included. There's a really great glossary. There's timelines of our prime ministers. There was another timeline that I loved. Hang on, where is it? Like there's a graphic timeline of how bills are introduced into Parliament and passed. As I said, great maps of how Parliament is actually physically laid out with all of the information about who sits where and why. The one thing that I really liked was with the chapter on referendums and every referendum that Australia has had and whether it was passed or not, with commentary, which made me giggle. There was a lot of information in there that I didn't know because I've only seen 2 referendums and I've only been able to vote in one of them. So like that was super interesting in terms of I have a lot of knowledge, but this actually broke it down into really digestible, manageable chunks, which I think is great. I think a lot of adults would benefit from reading this just quietly, even though it's been written for kids. 100% adults will get a lot out of this, particularly if they don't know very much about how Parliament and the government actually works. We might vote, but being well informed about the history of how Parliament came about, why we have the different people sitting in different roles and what their roles actually entail. Very important to know. This is honestly one of the most interesting and engaging books on politics that I have ever read, and I'm really glad that I did read it and that I can now have something to recommend to the senior teachers at my school because I think this was done really, really well. So thank you again to the publisher for sending me the review copy. I had a great time reading this. It was actually really, really fun, which is not something I would have ever said about a book about politics. In the description, I'll leave links to where you can find out more information about the book. Otherwise, I would love to know if you have recommendations for similar books about politics, democracy, or governance for kids. Feel free to leave those down below. Otherwise, if you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't leave a comment, feel free to leave a prawn emoji to let me know that you're here. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.